about 6 weeks ago. So, in this series, we are discussing the 20 items of knowledge described by Lord Krishna in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and today is the 7th session. So, let's begin today's session with a few prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We dedicate this presentation to our beloved spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So today is the 7th session in Knowledge Ikosagan series. Ikosagan is a geometrical figure with 20 sides. So we have chosen this title because Lord Krishna describes 20 items of knowledge in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Today is the 7th item of knowledge that we are going to discuss, and that is cleanliness, shaucham. We all have heard the saying, cleanliness is next to godliness. So that means if somebody is clean or somebody is pure, it is easy for such a person to approach God. So let's see what are the intricacies of cleanliness as described in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita and as explained by Srila Prabhupada. The word used in the shloka is shaucham. So Prabhupada explains, shaucham means cleanliness not only in mind and body, but in one's dealings also. One has to be clean, not only externally with the body, but in our mind, mentally, and that will anyway show off in our dealings with others. And Prabhupada says in a lecture in San Francisco, cleanliness means bahya abhyantaraha. Bahya means outside, that is without. Abhyantara means inside. Unless we are clean, unless we are pure, how can we make advance to approach the Supreme? The Supreme is described as the purest. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is described as Pavitram Paramam, the greatest or the most purest personality. So unless we become pure, unless we become clean, it's not possible for us to approach Krishna. So therefore, Bahya Abhyantaraha, internally and externally, we need to become pure. So overall, shaucham or cleanliness means that we have to become clean, pure, both internally, externally, and in our dealings also. Now let's move forward and try to understand the types of cleanliness. There are two types of cleanliness, external and internal. External pertains to the body, and internal pertains to our consciousness, to our mind. So let's try to understand each one of them in detail. So external cleanliness, Prabhupada explains in a lecture on Srimad Bhagavatam, shaucham means cleanliness, hygienic principles, to take bath thrice, at least once daily. Therefore, to keep no hair is better. Prabhupada is explaining to some of his brahmachari disciples about cleanliness. So, you wash, there's no question of moisture in the hair, and those who have not got big hair, they cannot take daily bath. But if you keep your bald headed, there is no trouble. Shaucham. So, bathing is required. Taking bath daily, shaucham. Of course, it's in a context. This is not to be misunderstood. So, taking bath every day. I actually saw one interesting line on somebody's t-shirt some time ago. So that person was saying, I believe in water conservation, therefore I do not take bath, something like that. So this kind of ideas are increasing day by day in the present age. But of course, there will be a time in the future where actually there will be no water to take bath, even if one wants to take bath. But at least we are not in that situation. At least in major parts of our country, we are not in such a scarcity. So taking bath invokes sattva guna in our consciousness. Actually, our external body, if you take care of it, I mean, keep hygiene, keep clean, it actually has effect on our consciousness. So by taking bath at least once every day, so it can actually help us to be situated in sattva guna, mode of goodness, which is very conducive for one to make spiritual advancement. So shaucham or cleanliness is one of the basic principles of dharma also, of religious life or spiritual life. There are four pillars of spiritual life, and out of them, shaucham, cleanliness, is also one of them. So first is external, we take bath, and second one, let's move forward, that is internal cleanliness. So Prabhupada explains in a purport in Srimad Bhagavatam, when one is influenced by the external energy of the Lord, his heart is impure. When one's heart is not pure, he cannot see how things are related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Idam hi vishwam bhagavan ivetaraha. He whose heart is purified can see that the whole cosmic manifestation is but the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, internal cleanliness, purification of our consciousness. In fact, the whole movement started by Srila Prabhupada is called the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Consciousness is given so much emphasis by Srila Prabhupada, by the entire Vedic literature. In fact, even if one is not capable of taking bath externally, but if one can maintain his consciousness purely, that can actually help a person to make spiritual advancement. So here, Prabhupada is telling that if one becomes pure in the heart, he can see everything connected with Krishna. He can see the whole world as a manifestation of Krishna's energy. So this consciousness, seeing everything connected with Krishna, is possible when we keep our heart or consciousness pure. Let us see how to achieve this. There are certain instructions. In this session, we will focus more on internal cleanliness. So Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Leela, that is the Shikshashtaka first verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhavamaha Davagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadhu Jivanam. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling the soul of all education. What is the soul of all education? Vidyavadhu Jivanam. So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, let there be all victory for the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna, which can cleanse the mirror of the heart and stop the miseries of the blazing fire of material existence. The chanting is the waxing moon that spreads the white lotus of good fortune for all living entities. It is the life and soul of all education. So, if simply one chants the holy name of Krishna, it is possible for one to completely become cleansed in his consciousness. So here, the consciousness or the mind is compared to a mirror. And if the mirror is covered with dust, it is not possible for us to see our reflection in the mirror. Therefore, the first business in spiritual life is to cleanse the mind, cleanse the mirror of the mind. And that is possible by simply chanting the holy name of Krishna. We can cleanse the mirror of the heart. And in this way, not only we cleanse the mirror of the heart, but we also will be able to put off the blazing fire of material existence. This material existence is compared to a forest fire, and that has to be put off. If that has to be put off, then we need the cooling moonshine of the holy name of the Lord or the Lord's mercy, and that is possible by chanting the holy names. So, number one, the scriptures say that if you want to be internally clean, always chant the holy names of Krishna. Let's move forward and see another instruction connected with the internal cleanliness. Here, this is an interesting verse spoken by Mother Devahuti uh, in her conversation with Lord Kapila, that is in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Mother Devahuti says, Yannamadheya Shravananu Kirtana, Yat Pravanad, Yat Smaranad Api Kvachit, Shvadopi Sadya Savanaya Kalpate, Kutah Punaste Bhagavannu Darshanat. The meaning is, to say nothing of the spiritual advancement of persons who see the Supreme Person face to face, even a person born in a family of dog eaters immediately becomes eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices if he once utters the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or chants about him, hears about his pastimes, offers him obeisances, or even remembers him. We can just see the potency of remembering the Lord or chanting his holy name. Actually, according to the Vedic understanding, a person who is born in the family of a dog eater, he is called Chandala. He is more degraded than a Shudra. Actually, one who is not clean, he is called Shudra. But more degraded than him is he who eats flesh of dog. So here it is said, such a person also becomes eligible to perform Vedic yajnas if he once utters the holy name of Krishna, if he chants his holy names, if he hears about Krishna, or offers obeisances, or even remembers him. So somehow or the other, if one comes in contact with Krishna, because Krishna is supremely pure, we also become purified. So Krishna is pure. By coming in touch with Krishna, we become purified, and we will be able to appreciate Krishna more properly when we become even more purified. So the process to become purified is to come in touch with Krishna, and unless we become completely purified, we will not be able to appreciate Krishna properly. So therefore, the process is to maintain internal cleanliness is to be in touch with Krishna. There is another instruction about this. It is said, this is also from Srimad Bhagavatam in the 9th canto. It is said, Yannama Shruti Matrena Puman Bhavati Nirmalaha Tasya Tirtha Padak Kimva Dasanam Avashishyate. This is spoken by Durvasa Muni. So Durvasa Muni says, what is impossible for the servants of the Lord? By the very hearing of his holy name, one is purified. Simply by hearing about Krishna, his holy name, Yannama Shruti Matrena Puman Bhavati Nirmalaha. Malaha means contamination. Nirmala means freedom from all contamination. One becomes purified simply by hearing Krishna's holy name. Therefore, we have to chant the holy names of Krishna loudly, so that whenever we are chanting at our homes, there are so many other living entities like the ants, the microbes, the other living entities. They also become purified by hearing the holy name of the Lord. That is the potency of Krishna's holy name. So we can maintain cleanliness, purification, we can achieve by hearing Krishna's holy name. Moving forward, we have another instruction in the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is an interesting instruction, an analogy, a comparison between the relative potencies of associating with a pure devotee and taking water in the Ganges. We all know that Ganga water is very pure because it is directly coming from the lotus feet of Krishna. Anybody who takes bath in the Ganga becomes pure. But here it is said, Yatpada Samshraya Suta Munaya Prashamayanaha Sadhya Punanti Upasprishthaha Swardhunyaponu Sevaya. Swardhuni refers to Ganga river. Apaha means water. Anusevaya means prolonged use. So here it is said the sages are saying, Naimisharanya sages are addressing Suta Goswami and they are saying, O Suta, those great sages who have completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord can at once sanctify those who come in touch with them, whereas the waters of the Ganges can sanctify only after prolonged use. So if one wants to get real benefit of taking Ganga water bath, one has to take bath for a long period of time. But if one somehow or the other comes in touch with a pure devotee of Krishna who has completely taken shelter of the Lord, such a person can become immediately cleansed, immediately purified. So that is the potency of associating with Krishna's pure devotees, isn't it? So we will see some case studies for all these instructions so that we will be able to understand much better. So before that, there's another interesting instruction given in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Who all become purified if they come and take shelter of pure devotee of Krishna. Here it is said, Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pulkasha Abhiras Shumbha Yavana Kasadayaha Yenye cha Papa Yadapashrayashrayaha Shuddhyanti Tasmai Prabhavishnave Namaha. So here there is a big list of sinful races listed here, or uncivilized people. Kirata, Huna, Andhra, Pulinda, Pulkasha, Abhira, Shumbha, Yavana, members of the Khasa races, and even others addicted to sinful acts can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord due to his being the supreme power. Prabhavishnave Namaha. I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So anybody, however sinful a person may be, can be purified, can achieve internal cleanliness simply by taking shelter of pure devotees of Krishna. That is the potency of Krishna and his pure devotees. So from all these instructions, we have understood that simply by somehow or the other coming in touch with Krishna, we become purified. We can maintain cleanliness by being in touch with Krishna always. Let us see some case studies which will help us to understand and appreciate all these instructions in a much better way. The first case study is pertaining to an incident which happened about 500 years ago, and this is pertaining to a dog which got delivered because of the mercy of a devotee called Shivananda Sena. Shivananda Sena was a devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Every year, devotees from Bengal used to visit Jagannath Puri to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and to participate in Ratha Yatra there in Jagannath Puri. And Shivananda Sena was doing a particular service of managing the entire journey, helping the devotees to travel from Bengal to Jagannath Puri. So he used to make sure that he would reach in advance and make sure that all the arrangements are done well in advance for the devotees to stay overnight in different places during their journey. And he also would make sure that tolls would be paid at appropriate places so that devotees would not have any trouble and they would just continue the journey. Remember, this journey was on foot. They used to travel by walk. So this Shivananda Sena, he used to manage this entire hospitality and other services of the devotees. Once it so happened that the Shivananda Sena, while he was traveling, he came across a dog. And this dog was just following Shivananda Sena wherever he would go. He would simply follow him. And somehow, because he was a devotee, Shivananda Sena became very merciful. And Shivananda Sena, he started feeding him prasadam. So he was giving some prasadam to the dog. And dog also, throughout the journey, he was there with the devotees. He was there with Shivananda Sena. And after they reached Jagannath Puri, the dog all of a sudden vanished. It was no more visible. So then they all started searching, where is this dog? It had been there with us throughout the journey. And some of the devotees saw that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was personally feeding some coconut to this dog, tender coconut. And the dog was eating this tender coconut very nicely. And the very next day, it is said that the dog attained a spiritual form and went back to the spiritual world. So even a dog, when it comes in touch with devotees of Krishna, when it comes in touch with prasadam, and of course the dog had the great fortune of eating prasadam directly from the hand of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the dog got delivered. So that is why Prabhupada says, even a dog, when it comes in touch with devotees or Hare Krishna mantra, can get delivered. So therefore, that is the potency of coming in touch with Krishna. Let us see one more case study which demonstrates this fact of purification. I request the admin to please mute everybody. Okay, this is a story of a certain king of the Solar dynasty called King Nriga. This king, Nriga, was a very charitable person, and he had distributed a lot of cows in charity to some brahmanas. Once it so happened that one of the cows that he had given in charity to one brahmana, he escaped. That cow escaped from that group and went to another group. And that group of cows was given in charity by King Nriga to another brahmana. Then the first brahmana saw that, okay, my cow is now being given in charity again to another cow. This is not proper. And both the brahmanas started engaging in a quarrel, in a fight. And when this came to the notice of King Nriga was very sorry, and he said, it happened by mistake. I didn't realize this. So King Nriga said to the first brahmana, you forget that original cow. I shall give you in its place 1 lakh well-decorated cows. But the first brahmana denied, no, I want that cow only. You have done a grave mistake. You have done a grave sin by actually giving my cow to somebody else. So in this way, King Nriga was actually cursed to become a reptile. So this king, even though he had performed so many pious activities by giving so many cows in charity to the brahmanas, but still, because of his mistake, he was cursed to become a reptile. So in the Dwapar Yuga, in the kingdom of Dwaraka, he was born as a reptile in a particular well in a forest. So when all the sons of Krishna, they were all playing in the forest, they became thirsty. They searched for a well to quench their thirst, but they could not find water. But they came across one empty well, and they saw a huge reptile inside the well. Out of compassion, they tried to take the reptile outside the well, but they could not do it. So they all went and approached their father, Krishna. And Krishna personally came, extended his left hand, and lifted the reptile outside the well. As soon as the reptile was touched by Krishna, immediately the reptile got transformed into a beautiful, dazzling personality. He actually became a Devata, and he was eligible to go to the heavenly planets because of the pious activities that he had performed. So this is another incident where even if somebody is degraded to the form of an animal, if somehow or the other he comes in touch with Krishna, he becomes purified. That is the purifying potency of the Lord. So first incident we saw, devotee of the Lord delivering a dog. Second incident we are seeing here, even a reptile is getting delivered by the direct touch of Krishna. Let's go to another case study. This is pertaining to a very interesting incident. It is pertaining to a rat. This is described in the Padma Purana, and it is explained by Srila Sanatana Goswami in his Hari Bhakti Vilasa. There was a temple of the Lord. During the Kartika month, it is customary for devotees to light lamps in the temple of Lord Krishna. So it so happened that this rat, he went to the temple altar, into the Garbhagudi, into the sanctum where the deity is kept. and there were certain lamps which were lit by the devotees. The temple was actually closed after the festival, and this rat foolishly thought that that flame of the lamp, this rat thought that it is a eatable. He thought it is eatable, and he went to eat that. So when he went and approached that lamp, actually the lamp was about to get put off, and this rat unknowingly extended the uh, wick in that lamp, because of which the lamp uh, the lamp lit for some more time. The lamp was burning for some more time. That means unknowingly the rat performed devotional service of lighting a lamp during the auspicious Kartika month in front of the deity of Krishna in the temple. So immediately this rat got liberation. He assumed a four-handed form, and there was a Vimana sent from Vaikuntha, and ascending that Vimana, this rat got liberated and went to the Vaikuntha planets. So that means even animals, forget about human beings. Now we'll come to human beings later. But even animals, when they perform devotional service, even without knowledge, somehow or the other, they come in touch with Krishna. They become purified. They become liberated. That is what all these incidents are demonstrating. Let us see some more case studies. We have two more. This is an interesting thing which happened during Srila Prabhupada's a few years after Srila Prabhupada left the planet. There was a certain hippie person called Crazy Peter. I mean, he was called Peter. Devotees used to call him as Crazy Peter. That's because in Boston, in the temple in around 1970s, this person used to come every day to the temple, and there was a hallway down in the ground floor, and the temple hall was in the first floor. It was an ISKCON temple at Boston. So this Peter was somehow or the other attracted to the kirtans, and he would come to that place, and being a hippie, he was like almost intoxicated with marijuana and all such things, with drugs. He used to somehow come, but he didn't know that there is a temple in the first floor. He would simply stay in the ground floor hallway, and he would spread all his things, and sometimes he would chant Hare Krishna, and sometimes, most of the times he used to sit there spreading his legs far apart, and that was actually creating disturbance for the devotees visiting. Okay, so he didn't know that above the staircase there is a temple. He was simply there down. So this every day he used to come, he used to chant for some time, sit there extending his legs far, and like that. He used to read some books also, like that. So devotees, who were visiting the temple, and the devotees in the temple, they were actually feeling disturbed. So they wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, see, this kind of one hippie is coming, this Peter, whom we are calling as Crazy Peter, because he doesn't listen to what we say. He doesn't listen to, when we tell him sit properly, he doesn't listen. He just extends his legs and sits like that. So what to do with this person? We are actually getting very disturbed. So Prabhupada replied back saying that, why don't you tolerate? It is devotees' business to tolerate and help others to become devotees. So this one instruction that Srila Prabhupada gave, the devotees followed. They tolerated him. And years later, this same Crazy Peter actually became one of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, and he was called Kushakrata Prabhu, and he became a great Sanskrit scholar, and he used to write translations of Sanskrit books into English. And his books were referred by many devotees all over the world. That means a person who was a hippie, a drug addict, who was very crazy in his behavior, somehow or the other came in touch with Srila Prabhupada's movement, his disciples, the holy name, Prasadam, and that's how he became such a perfect gentleman. Today, Kushakrata Prabhu is very famous in the ISKCON world. So, this is another example. So, we should not think that, okay, only these are all Puranic stories which we discussed so far. Is there any real life example? Yes, this is a real life example. And not only that, so many devotees like crazy Peter, like Kushakrita Prabhu, simply by coming in touch with Srila Prabhupada's movement, they have given up their sinful activities and become perfect gentlemen. There's another interesting case study about this. Yes, this is about a thief who visited Vrindavan. This thief, he was a professional thief. He once sat in a Bhagavatam class and there was a description of Vrindavan and Krishna going on in the Bhagavatam class. This thief had already actually gone there to steal some things. But because the class was so interesting, he started paying attention to the description. And the devotee who was giving class, he started describing that Krishna is a small boy in Vrindavan. He never leaves Vrindavan and goes. And every day, Mother Yashoda spends a lot of time decorating Krishna's body with so many golden ornaments. The moment he said golden ornaments, this thief became very, very attentive because he wanted gold. He had come there to steal. And then the devotee who gave the class was also telling that Krishna is a small boy and he never leaves Vrindavan and goes. He's always there in Vrindavan. So he became very determined, this thief, to actually go and see Krishna in Vrindavan. He thought he's after all a small boy and he's wearing so many ornaments. Somehow if I give him some sweets or somehow allure him, he will easily give off all the gold and I'll become very, very rich. That was the intention of the thief. So thinking in this way, he started traveling towards Vrindavan. Throughout the journey, he was simply thinking about Krishna. How can I meet Krishna? And he was contemplating on the descriptions that he had heard in the class. So throughout the journey, he was simply thinking of Krishna. And finally, when he reached Vrindavan, he went to the groves of Vrindavan and started calling out, Krishna, where are you? Like this. And then immediately, because he was so, so much, he had become purified because he was constantly thinking about Krishna. So immediately Krishna appeared on the scene exactly as per the description that he had heard in the class. A small boy wearing so many ornaments. And then this thief said, Krishna, can you please give me all your ornaments? Then Krishna said, no, my mother will beat me if I lose these ornaments. I cannot give you. Like this, there was a conversation which happened between Krishna and the thief. And finally, a point came where Krishna said, okay, no problem. You take all the ornaments because you have come all the way for this only, no? Please take all the ornaments. And that time, the thief said, my dear Krishna, I don't want any ornaments. Please engage me as your servant, as at your lotus feet. Just see, because he had constantly been thinking about Krishna and he personally came in touch with Krishna, there was a change in this thief's consciousness. He became a devotee. So in this way, anybody who comes in touch with Krishna somehow or the other, either by chanting his holy names or by hearing about him, by taking association of his devotees, by taking prasadam, by hearing kirtan, in any way, if somehow or the other we become Krishna conscious, we come in touch with Krishna, we can actually become completely purified. We can forget all kinds of material contaminations. We can become free from all kinds of material dirt and become happily situated. Only when you are pure within, you can be happy. So this cleanliness is so very important in Krishna consciousness, in spiritual life. That is why it is listed as one of the 20 items of knowledge. So to conclude, there is one verse from the Garuda Purana which I would like to quote. So the Garuda Purana says, Apavitra pavitrova sarvavastham gatopiva yasmaret pundarikaksham sabahya abhyantara shuchihi, which means whether one external situation, simply by remembering the lotus-eyed personality of Godhead, Pundarikaksha, one can internally and externally, sabahya abhyantara, cleanse one's existence, shuchihi. So real shaucham, real shuchihi is whatever may be our circumstances, whatever it may be, simply remember Krishna by chanting his holy names. Then we at once become completely pure, both internally and externally. We become externally pure because when we are a devotee, we naturally feel that this body is a temple of Krishna. We have to take care of this body. We have to cleanse this body. So we become conscious of that. So we naturally follow all the hygienic principles. And internally also we become clean because we are associating with Krishna, who is supremely pure. So the easiest way to remain clean, clean always, pure always, is to always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So that is the whole point about shaucham or cleanliness in spiritual life. Sarvavastha, whatever may be our avastha, whether we are in pure state or impure state, doesn't matter. Simply chant the holy names of Krishna. So for chanting the holy names of Krishna, there are no hard and fast rules. Even if there is a death in the family, we can continue to chant Hare Krishna mantra. Even if there is something wrong, even if the circumstances are not favorable, we should continue to chant. Even if we are, let's say, sometimes we fall sick, we are not able to sit down or walk, but we can just uh, remain lying down on the bed and we can continue to chant. Even if you're not able to sit down and chant, doesn't matter. If you are sick, lie down on the bed and chant. But don't forget chanting. Chanting is the Yuga Dharma. Very easily Krishna makes himself available for us to associate with him and become purified. So that is the shaucham, the cleanliness that we can all aspire for, and very easily we can attain. We don't have to do big tapasyas and austerity. Simply chant Krishna's names and become purified. So let us all chant now 3 times Hare Krishna mantra. First we'll chant the Panchatattva mantra. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. We'll chant the mantra 3 times. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I request all of you to please chant Hare Krishna mantra every day without fail. Try to chant more, because chanting more means associating with Krishna more and more, and therefore more purification. So rapid advancement in spiritual life. I request all of you to kindly take note of this link and give your valuable feedback about today's session. bit.ly/td feedback with a capital F. bit.ly/td capital F feedback. So please give your valuable feedback about today's session. Now, Amrut had posted a question. He was asking, is it true that if you take bath 2 to 3 times a day, we become free from bodily concept of life? As I said, taking bath helps us to come to Sattva Guna, and in Sattva Guna, we will be able to see things as they are. We will be able to understand about Krishna properly. We'll be able to chant the holy names properly. So therefore, yes, it is recommended. But even if such facility is not available to take bath twice or thrice a day, at least once we can take bath. But real bath is internal bath, that is chant the holy names of the Lord always. That will help us to always remain pure, right? So with that, we come to the end of today's session. Thank you so much for being part of the session. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.